and welcome back to Coffee with the Wolves, presented by JJC Athletics. I'm your host, Damien Dennis, and this week I'm joined by women's basketball head coach, Shaun Sanderson. Welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. We're here to kind of wrap up your season. The 2024-25 campaign has come to an end. It's honestly been over for, 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
But, we're just now meeting up to bring you back here on the show to talk about it. Eighth place finish in the country in Division 3, 17-15 overall. Went 1-2 at the national tournament. Probably not the way you wanted the season to end, but still a successful campaign for you. So I guess the first question here, Coach, is just how are you feeling about just how this team kind of finished this year?
Yeah, the record doesn't really tell the entire story, but, I'm very proud of these young ladies. They had nothing to absolutely hang their head over. Most times when you see a team of 7, to start the year, yeah, and I know we started with 8, but it went to 7 and sometimes 5. You're expected not to finish your season.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing that we did not want to do. So we put a lot of emphasis in nutrition and weightlifting and things. But getting back to that question, we were very proud of the young ladies. They went in that playoff and went with a mission. Now, of course, the goal was to win it all. But we had a very good showing in front of the national office, and they got to see what JJC basketball was all about. We eventually, of course, lost to the national rank or the number 1 seed and national champion in Rochester, but we gave them a fight.
Yeah.
They started out with a 10-1 lead, and we cut it. I think we went down to halftime down 4, and just times we could have tied it, but we ended up losing by 12 or 13 points. But that was the best competition that they had there at the tournament. So when I saw the final score of the championship game, 73-37, I just got a bigger chip on my shoulder. So
Yeah. Come back next year and stick it to them.
yeah,
So to speak.
yeah. But it was a great experience for the girls, and I was, like I said, I was very proud they represented well.
Let's kind of backtrack a little bit. You talk about such a small roster and then it shrinking even more during the season. At one point, you were only playing 5 players, and I know, Lovely hadn't joined the team yet, so you're down to 6. And Kira Hunt got hurt early in the season. I think we talked about it here, or maybe it was, one of the post-game interviews, something like that. But you had mentioned at the time, like, that's why I tell her not to go for her own rebounds or whatever it was. But how do you kind of overcome that, or especially early in the season? Like, it's November and we're down to just 5 players. If someone else gets hurt, like,
Yeah. Yeah, as coaches, we think about the big picture. We knew the moment wasn't going to be what the final was going to be. So we just kept re-emphasizing that, hey, we'll get healthy. We just needed everybody to do their job. And not worry about the things that we had no control over. The things that we had control over was going to get treatment and, keeping up with our studies and things like that. But I always tell them, you guys play and let the coaches coach.
Yeah.
We need 5 to get out there and represent. So most times we did have the 5.
Yeah.
But we just stay positive. They kept looking at the season and seeing that we only had sometimes the 5 or 6. But we shortened the season. Like, hey, we got 2 games this week, 3 games this week.
Yeah.
And we use our rest time valuably.
Now, I don't remember how long she was out, but I feel like Kira was out for at least until the new year whenever she went out. And I remember you were optimistic at the time, like, oh, we hope she's back in a week, 2 weeks. But then she was out for, I don't know, I'm just going to guess 6 weeks, because I know it was like November, or mid-November, end of November. But then also when she came back, Lovely joined the team and was, and we've talked about, just here in the office, how much of an impact she's had on the team since she came, and kind of being at full strength, so to speak. Still small roster, seven players, but like you get all 7 back, and then this team starts clicking. What really changed beyond just maybe being at full strength?
Talent can hide a lot of weaknesses a lot of times. We went through a phase where Kiera was our point guard, and then now Joyce was our point guard when she was supposed to be in like a 3-4. So now Joyce is our point guard, but then here comes Lovely, who didn't want to be a point guard, Now she's our point guard.
Yep.
So, but they all had one thing in common. They all wanted to win. And then they developed a trust factor at some point. But we juggled as a coaching staff, but it wasn't much juggling because we only had like 6 or 7 players depending on the time of the week. But we juggled and the pieces just fit. Like they were all hungry. Sometimes when Kaya was out, Olivia was our center.
Yeah.
It just kind of the talent that we had, they all sacrificed their skills and talents to do what they do. And it just, like you said, just clicked at the right time.
Yeah. How do you keep them motivated during those stretches where, like, maybe, you're down to just 5 players or you're on a losing streak, Because at some point late in the season, it kind of clicked. They started, you guys went on a winning streak. I don't remember how long it was, maybe 5, 6 games. Yeah. But you went on a winning streak, lost a game, then just kept winning after that until you ran into Rochester.
Yeah. So, I believe the last time we spoke, I told him, I said, hey, if you don't win half your games, there's no Texas. We don't get to travel. But we paid attention to detail. Practices weren't as hard as they used to be. So we gave them goals, come in and make 100 free throws, and food plays a good part of this too because we fed them, so they were always looking for food.
Yeah.
But the key to this was to make sure in the second semester and going into the playoffs that we were all on one accord. So you do a lot of bonding type deals with the food, and just kind of taking over their lives, so to say, in terms of preparation and game preparation. But a great group, and always revisiting what the big goal was.
Yeah.
And once they saw what needed to be done, we did it. And again, I'm just so proud of the sacrifice that they took for them, and just taking care of their bodies.
Yeah.
So that all played a part.
What was the atmosphere like in the team locker room after you had lost to Rochester? Because, getting to that point, you're playing, it was the quarterfinals. Like, okay, we've won our first game. We have some momentum. And as you said, you played Rochester close, gave them the toughest competition they faced during the tournament. What was the atmosphere like in the locker room with that loss? And then kind of rebounding from it to try and win a couple more in the bracket.
There was a couple tears. The good thing was we weren't expected to win the first day.
Yeah.
And we had just held a team that scored 90 points a game to 58. So when you win that first game, you guarantee yourself at least 2 more games. So after losing to Rochester, we didn't get the big prize. There's no way we're going to get it. But we had the opportunity to get 5th. At the time. So some tears, but they realized that we were so close. And I had to remind them, this same team scored 30 points on you in December in the first quarter, and you just held them to 27 in the half. So they realized, and I think it was an eye-opener, that we could have won this thing if we had did this, we had did that. But it allowed us to have a short memory because we had to prepare the next day for the next team at noon. So it was our goal to hopefully play the last day, which was on that Saturday. And we said, hey, you know what? It didn't happen. So we can at least be one of those teams and say, hey, we won our last game on the last day of basketball.
Yeah. Kind of a few weeks removed now, what's everyone kind of thinking about the season? Not just you, but your student athletes as well.
It's kind of mixed emotions. We have 3 sophomores that are looking for their next school, and we're helping them through that process. But the freshmen, they're so hungry now, and they want to know, Coach, who you're bringing on this team, because we have goals. We got to, because I'm going to do this better. I'm going to do that better. So their focus is completely different. And they are so determined to get back there.
Yeah.
I think their mental approach for next season has actually already started. So I have to kind of right now say, hey, get a little rest, but you can go past the gym and the weight room and see them working out, and this is that mental part where they get ready for that next season. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean they're already looking forward to next season, and I'm not going to do the math, but we're many months away from it at this point. It's the end of March. You don't start until the beginning of November, so like kind of a long time
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
Who are you? You know, I don't have the roster in front of me. Who are some of the players who you're expecting to return next year and to maybe take a leap and lead the team maybe to a deeper postseason run?
The two Tuas, Lovely and Joyce, aka Chicky.
Yeah.
They will be back. Lovely had the option of leaving or coming back, but after going through that process, she had already said, "Coach, I'm coming back," and she's kind of helping with the recruiting as well. And then we have Demi Page and also Jazz Foster, and they were tremendous. And we had some postseason awards, of course. So we'll have two players returning that they were all valuable to the team.
Yeah.
But they did it all year long.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously it's Kaya, Olivia, and is it Kira who are leaving?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, Kaya has several colleges after her. Every day it's someone new. She's on a visit right now as we speak.
Yep.
And she's got a couple coming up just in the Kentucky area, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia. And then Olivia, who knows, she may end up overseas somewhere, to play the rest of her collegiate career.
I mean that'd be fitting after talking to her earlier in the season because I had never really talked to her, on the podcast or really outside of the podcast other than like here or there about something. But learning she studied abroad and stuff, it's like that seems fitting if she goes to Europe.
Yeah, I'll guarantee you this: wherever she goes, it's definitely going to be sun, so warmth, and probably overseas. So, yeah. And then Kiera, she has a few schools after her right now as well. So it'll be interesting to see what their selections are. But I got a feeling she'll stay somewhere close.
Yeah. And as far as recruiting, I take it you're out there working hard at it.
Oh yeah, it never stops. It's all year round, and people tell me I need to rest right now. I don't have time to rest. If you want to get back, John Calipari said it best. You got to have three things. One, you got to have players. The second thing is you got to have players, and the third thing you got to have is players.
Yeah.
So we're out there trying to get those players that fit the program, and because we want to be better than last year.
Yeah.
And that's always the goal. So there's some. We signed one recently here, and we won't talk about her now, but there's some. They're on the verge of committing, and we're very excited.
Yeah. No, kind of speculative, I guess, but you hoping to have a team more than 7 girls deep at the next year?
Definitely. Having the 7, even in our losses, we had a lot of fans and the opposing teams. They were just surprised at the output that we gave game by game, and even players were shocked. So I think it was an eye opener for some of the high schoolers. Already we have 2 transfers that we recruited right out of high school, and they wanted to be a part, and they had that burning desire to be able to help right now. So I think that was very intriguing for a lot of people. So it's like, I'll tell you what, it's kind of scary, but let's just say the team will at least be doubled.
I guess at this point, season's over. You're in the recruiting process. You're also doing your daily stuff here, academic advising and all that. When will you take a break?
There's some dates coming up. June is a time when I can take a break and be in some gyms and looking. But no, July, I have some dates circled here, and I'll try to extend. I think we got a couple 3-day weekends coming up. I'll try to extend there.
Yeah.
But I know how to get away when times needed.
Wish I knew how to do that. Just in general. I'm going to a Comic-Con in a couple weeks, and I'm like, wonder if I can turn it into work.
Yeah, and I have an amazing staff. So if I have to get away, I know they're there to whatever I leave, they're able to follow through with it. Yeah. So I'm gonna take advantage because you can't come back in this thing with a cloudy mind. Mm-hmm. You have to have physical rest, but also mental rest. So I'm preparing those times, and I have a big cruise coming up. later this summer.
Well, it's been a great year for basketball here at JJC. Obviously, the men's team performed really well. They didn't make the postseason.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not going to
pretty
get,
sad.
yeah, we're not going to get into that right here. But it was still a great season for them. I forget what their record was too, but they were
19-7. Or
yes,
something?
yeah. They had what an 11-game win streak before it
Yeah.
finally snapped. So,
Yeah.
but we're well underway into baseball and softball season
Yep.
now. Golf, track and field. So, still very busy here in the athletic
Oh yeah,
department.
absolutely. Every day.
Yeah. Well, Coach, probably won't have you on again until next fall at this point. But as always, thank you for coming on Coffee with the Wolves.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a great time.
And we'll see you here next week.